Oh hey, it's me, short-time YouTuber and shorter-time 2D artist, Redback Goblin. You know what I love? Comic books. You know what else I love? Tracking and organizing all of my hobbies. So when I saw this video by Mikayla J. Laird, I thought, well, now I've gotta try that. So I whipped out a blank notebook, started drawing, and then thought to myself, hey, I could record this and make a video out of it. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, just for a bit of context before I pull up the time-lapse, Mikayla's Comics Diary is basically a tool that she uses to help take notes on the books that she reads. These notes seem to be mostly around interesting concepts and ideas that she thinks of while reading, or other connections that she makes between different books, and how they relate to her life in a way that she can use when writing papers. I am much less impressive, however. See, for me, the reason that I need a journal is because my media consumption routine usually goes a little something like this. 1. Find a cool comic or show. 2. Start consuming it. 3. Get distracted or take a break to go be a responsible adult. Or an irresponsible child. 4. Come back to the media 5 to 6 months later. 5. Start it over again because I don't remember what was happening or I've ruined the momentum of the story for myself. So really, my goal with this journal is to just take notes as I go so I can more easily remember what I thought and felt when consuming a piece of media. And that's also why I'm choosing to call this one a media journal rather than a comics diary, because this is something I think I need across many different forms of media. Still, mostly comics though. A few weeks ago, I was talking to my friend Tiocheli about, AI and just how sick we are of seeing so much AI slop just everywhere. And she was telling me about how, this insistence of AI everywhere on the internet has just made her really want to do more physical art, right? There are a few projects that she's been working on that she's shown me that are, a lot more hands-on and less digital, and that sort of inspired me to kind of do the same thing. I don't know, I just felt like doing some actual drawing, on pen and paper. And, I'm not really a 2D artist at all. I have dabbled. I'll probably put some things up on the screen that I've done. There's a live drawing thing that I tried doing, except it wasn't really live. I used image references, but whatever, this was a spur of the moment thing I decided to do one time. I'm not really much of a 2D artist. It's something, like I said, it's something that I've dabbled with, but I wouldn't say I'm really very good at it. In general, yeah, I would say I struggle a lot with, anatomy, which I know is a big thing for a lot of people, but you can tell looking at something that I've drawn that I am not somebody who draws a lot. Also shading. I am terrible at shading. I know that, again, there's probably pretty simple ways that I could go about doing it to learn it, but yeah, even just in terms of drawing technique, I'm not the kind of person who's gonna, or at least I'm not the kind of person who traditionally has just, kind of sat there and been like, all right, let's block out the shapes, and then I'll draw the next layer and connect the shapes, and then do this and that, and oh, here's the musculature. I've never been like that. I will just kind of start sketching and, see what I put together. And I'm still not that person. I am very I'm just the kind of person who's all right, well, I'm just gonna dive in, and if I mess up, I mess up. The problem is I really hate messing up, but that is something, if you've seen my first video, it is something that I'm trying to be a bit more okay with. And yeah, so coming back to this sort of this journal video that Mikayla made, I thought that it would be a cool idea for me to give it a go, but I have a lot of notebooks. That is one thing I really like about myself. I spend a lot of time handwriting stuff in notebooks, And actually, I've recently misplaced a bunch of my notebooks, but thankfully I had a few that I did know where they were. So I picked one out, and what I did was I went onto Pinterest and I started looking for references. I'm like, oh, okay, like, you know, what could I draw on this? Because I feel like if it's just this plain cover, I'm not going to use the journal. Like, I'm going to maybe write a few things in it, never touch it again, and then kind of be annoyed that I have a few pages of media journal in an otherwise blank notebook. So I'm like, all right, I want to do a cover, right? And, you know, again, not big on drawing, but at the very least, it's the sort of thing of like, okay, look, if I mess it up, I'll try and fix it, right? That's the thing, right? I gotta be able to try to fix mistakes, not just avoid them entirely. So I hopped onto Pinterest and I started looking at just references, like, you know, how do other people decorate their journals? Because I've never really done that either. Like, all of the journals that I have used in the past, I don't do anything to the outside of them, you know? Like, not even like stickers or anything. I don't know, it is just how I go. So yeah, I found this really cool reference that I ended up kind of going with because I sort of like the aesthetic. I mean, I made a whole mood board and I'll prop that up on screen, but I decided to I wanted to try to imitate this. So I sketched out the sort of outline, and then I realized that the only way I could really color it in was with these paint markers, and they're not great for, like, you know, getting these different shades. They're very like, this is a solid color and that's what you're getting. And since I only had the one shade of blue, I thought, okay, let's I'm gonna scrap following this exact thing. But I had the outline of, you know, the person's upper torso already sketched down, and then I thought, I like superheroes. Let's draw Spider-Man. And I just have to say, okay, so look, there is a lot of debate about where exactly Spider-Man's design came from. Obviously, Steve Ditko was the artist on these books, but I believe there was some claims that Jack Kirby was the one who actually designed the suit. And, you know, there's some believability to these claims, but whoever it was, screw you for all the webbing. Oh my god. No, look, Spider-Man is such an amazingly designed character, no pun intended, but oh my god. I hated drawing all this webbing. I don't know, I'm not currently watching the time-lapse while I record this, I'm just actually kind of freestyling this, so I don't know if the time-lapse has reached the webbing part, but I hated it. Especially coloring it in, because these paint markers are so thick, I wouldn't be able to see the pencil if I drew over it, so instead, every like little square between the webbing, on the inside of the lines, I had to color in separately. Oh my god. And I'm getting interrupted. Now, I ended up choosing to draw Spider-Man for a few reasons here. You know, on one hand, as far as characters go, it's just, you know, super recognizable. And I do have like a little bit of experience with drawing him. I probably don't have a picture to throw up on screen, but I used to do like these little doodles in class, just on like the side of worksheets and stuff. And that's also sort of where I like kind of learned how to draw the webbing. Like, for example, I noticed that generally there's like one line kind of coming up the top part of the mask, and then in the web pattern it kind of splits off into two lines, and, you know, from there it's a lot easier to then kind of go like, okay, well, I need to expand these outer webbings, and then, you know, you connect them up and it's not straight lines, they need to curve down sort of in the middle. And I think, look, I didn't do the most spectacular job possible, pun fully intended that time, on drawing the webbing. It is kind of hard when you don't have, like, I mean, for me, like, if you don't have a 3D reference, I don't know how these artists draw the webbing. Oh my goodness. It's a miracle this thing gets drawn ever at all. But yeah, I was able to sort of draw in the rest of the details. In terms of the eyes, I pulled up this reference from Mark Bagley because I love Ultimate Spider-Man. It's like one of my favorite comics of all time, and it probably is my favorite of all time, to be honest. It's up there with like Invincible, but I think I need to reread Invincible and see how I feel about it, because I've only read it the one time, if I'm being honest. But Ultimate Spider-Man I've read in its entirety like, oh, I want to say 2 or 3 times, and I'm about due for a 4th. But anyway, yeah, I thought, I'll try to copy this sort of style, the way that Bagley draws the eyes, and kind of go with that as the inspiration for mine, just because, again, I wanted to sort of pay homage to that. And yeah. Now, I don't really know what else to talk about, because obviously coming up on the end of the time lapse, but I would say I am really pleased with how this turned out. I was so proud of it, and I'm still very proud of it. Look, the proportions are definitely a little bit off, but I was so excited to show Tiocheli. I was just like, hey, you're gonna be so proud of me. I went and found references, and I made a Pinterest board, and then I sketched it out, and then I, I did these details, and then I blah, 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 blah. Like, oh my god, are you proud of me? Like I said, I don't really draw. I'm very fairly insecure about my drawings. I still post them. Like, I've got some like pretty not well drawn stuff up on my Instagram if you want to check that out at Redback Goblin. Actually, since I did this, I also made one more. I had another journal that had a black cover, and I decided to do a drawing of Deadpool on it, which was a lot harder to do because the pencil didn't really show up very well on it. But that drawing of Deadpool was inspired by this panel by Declan Shalvey from, I don't remember which exact issue it was, but I think it was from the last issue, of Deadpool, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'll confirm, and I'll just pop the issue number up on screen. But yeah, I've always loved the way that Declan Shalvey draws Deadpool, and I have to make a separate video about Deadpool, because I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and I really dislike the way he's presented in a lot of media. And yeah, so I'm pretty proud of how the drawing turned out, and I don't know, I do want to draw some more. I think I am not even that fussed about being like, the most amazing artist I can be, but I would like to sort of get a better grasp of anatomy, because that's always the big thing that I feel like I don't like about my drawings, where it's like, the characters look very stiff, and the proportions are completely off, and, the head is just round, there's no, volume to it, there's no depth to it. So that's something I do want to work on, but I don't know how actively I will be working on that. And yeah, I think that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This was a little bit of a different video than I usually do, a bit less effort. I only scripted in that sort of intro, and then everything after the time-lapse started, I've just been kind of freeballing. Freeballing, that's not the right word. Freestyling is probably the right word to use there. Anyway, yeah, if you did enjoy, just, leave a like, leave a comment, that'd be amazing, and let me know if you want to see more drawing videos from me, I suppose. I am still primarily a 3D artist, but hey, if you're interested in seeing more drawing, maybe I'll try some more stuff. Take care, everybody. Peace out. If you don't live to feel alive, it's like you're already dead. Without the motive or the drive, then it's a life of regret. Lost what you could have been, should have been, and would have been, but you let your mind your story, gave up control at the end. Some promising talents slip through your fingers like